Hey everyone, and welcome! If you're trying to figure out the best way to eat for diabetes management, well, you've definitely come to the right place. We're going to cut through all that confusion and focus on just 8 essential superfoods that can make a huge difference.
Getting a diabetes diagnosis can feel, well, pretty overwhelming, especially when you start thinking about food. It just feels like this giant list of things you can't eat, right? But today, we are completely flipping that script. This isn't about restriction, it's about empowerment. It's about a clear strategy based on all the amazing foods you can add to your diet.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll get into the why of it all, the whole blood sugar balancing act. Then, we'll build our superfood toolkit, looking at key groups like plants, proteins, and even smart carbs. And finally, we'll bring it all together with a super simple visual trick called the perfect plate method. Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first, let's establish the fundamental goal here. Why focus on these specific foods? Well, it all boils down to one thing: mastering the blood sugar balancing act.
And it's about more than just one thing. Of course, the number one goal is to stabilize blood sugar to avoid those sharp spikes and crashes. But we also want to improve insulin sensitivity. That just means helping our body use its own insulin more effectively. And just as important, we really need to support heart health, because managing diabetes is all about protecting your heart.
All right, let's get to the solution. It is time to assemble your superfood toolkit. And I want you to think of these not as rules, but as powerful tools that you can add to your plate to achieve all those goals we just talked about.
So how many tools are in this kit? The good news is it's a simple, really memorable number. Just 8. That's it. Health organizations like the American Diabetes Association have zeroed in on these 8 key superfood groups as total nutritional powerhouses for managing diabetes. Let's break them down.
We're going to start with the most vibrant and foundational part of your plate, the plants, greens, and berries. These are your absolute heavy hitters for getting nutrients and fiber. Superfood number 1 is non-starchy vegetables. A lot of experts consider these the single most important part of a diabetes-friendly diet. And why is that? Because they're packed with fiber and nutrients, they fill you right up, but they have very few carbohydrates, so they barely move the needle on your blood sugar. Think broccoli, bell peppers, spinach. Go ahead and load up your plate.
Next up, we've got berries. If you're looking for a sweet treat, this is your go-to. Berries are just loaded with antioxidants that help fight inflammation. And crucially, they have a lower glycemic index. That's really just a measure of how quickly a food raises blood sugar. And with berries, that rise is much, much slower and steadier than with a lot of other fruits.
Rounding out our first group are leafy greens like spinach and kale. These are nutritional giants. They have almost no digestible carbs, that's the kind your body actually absorbs, and they're packed with nutrients like vitamin C and magnesium. And that magnesium is really interesting because research suggests it plays a key role in how your cells use insulin.
All right, let's move on to our next category of superfoods: proteins and healthy fats. These are your absolute keys to feeling full and satisfied after a meal, and they play a massive role in protecting your heart.
First in this group is fatty fish. Salmon, tuna, and trout are packed with omega-3 fatty acids. This is incredibly important because omega-3s are champions at reducing inflammation and supporting your cardiovascular system, which is a top priority in diabetes care.
Looking for the perfect snack? Meet superfood number 5, nuts and seeds. A handful of almonds or walnuts provides this great combination of healthy fat, protein, and fiber. This combo helps prevent hunger between meals and has even been linked to better fasting blood sugar levels.
Superfood number 6 is Greek yogurt, and it's important to specify Greek yogurt. The key is all in how it's made. It's strained, and that simple process makes a huge difference. It concentrates the protein while removing some of the carbs and sugars. The result is a snack that's fantastic for keeping you full and your blood sugar stable. Now for a topic that can cause a lot of confusion: carbohydrates. But listen, not all carbs are created equal. Let's talk about smart carbs, the ones that give you that steady, reliable energy.
Superfood number 7 is whole grains. Think things like steel-cut oats, quinoa, and brown rice. The magic ingredient here is fiber. The fiber in whole grains acts kind of like a brake, slowing down how quickly your body digests the carbohydrates. This leads to a much slower, gentler rise in blood sugar instead of a rapid spike.
And this slide illustrates the difference perfectly. So look at the whole grain on the left. It contains the entire kernel, all the parts that slow down digestion. Now look at the refined grain on the right. The key parts, the bran and germ, have been completely stripped away.
This means your body digests it incredibly fast, almost like plain sugar, leading to a much sharper blood sugar spike. The difference is night and day.
Our final superfood, number 8, is a true powerhouse, beans and legumes. I like to call these a double win. You get high-quality, fiber-rich carbs for steady energy, plus you get plant-based protein to keep you full. They're also packed with soluble fiber, which forms a gel-like substance during digestion that helps manage both glucose and cholesterol. Just fantastic.
Okay, so we've built our toolkit of 8 amazing superfoods. But how do you put it all together in a simple, practical way for every single meal? Let's look at the final piece of the puzzle.
This is the plate method. It is a simple visual guide. No counting, no measuring, no stress. Just look at your plate. Fill half of it, half with those non-starchy vegetables we talked about first. Then fill 1/4 with a lean protein like fatty fish or beans. And fill the final quarter with your smart carbs, like a serving of quinoa or some berries. That's it.
Ultimately, this is the key takeaway. You don't have to memorize lists or count calories, you just need to remember this visual. This single image empowers you to build a balanced, blood sugar-friendly meal automatically, every single time. It truly shifts the focus from what you have to avoid to what you can powerfully create on your plate. And that's our breakdown. We've covered the core goals, we've built a full toolkit of superfoods, and we've learned a simple visual method to use them. So now the only question left is the one you see right here. Thinking about your very next meal, what's the first superfood you're going to add to your plate? Thanks for joining me.